Hey, good morning. This is a test review. We're going to start here working identities. This is cotangent x times secant x. And the first thing I would think of is probably something like this here. Rewriting things in terms of sine and cosine as much as possible. Cotangent x, if I use my quotient identity, my quotient one, for it, that would be cosine x over sine x. And if I use the reciprocal identity for secant, that would be 1 over cosine. What's going to happen to the 1 over cosines? Well, they're going to what? Cancel out, making this equal 1 over sine x, all right, which is the same thing as cosecant x using our identities. All right. Go ahead and scroll this up. You can stop it right there. It doesn't right there, I think. Look at this one right here. It has parentheses 1 minus sine squared x times secant x. Well, I see a squared here and a 1, so I tend to think about a Pythagorean. And is there a Pythagorean where 1 minus sine squared equals something? There sure is. It's cosine squared x. And I see secant, and if I think of the reciprocal identity, that's 1 over cosine x. This is the same as being over 1. Well, I'm going to be able to cancel out one of these cosines, so let's work out the 2 with that, which will simply just give me then what? Cosine x, all right? So then if you roll it up one more, so you can roll it up to about right there. Keep going, keep going. Oh, okay, right there, that's good. Now we have cosecant squared x minus 1. I'm thinking about another Pythagorean here because I see this. Now I'm thinking this here. I know this, that cosecant squared x minus 1, I believe that is the same thing as cotangent squared x. And I have this over, I'm just going to write it first off over cosine squared x. And then what I'm going to do is this. Cotangent squared x will be the same thing if I use my quotient one, writing things in terms of sine and cosine, will be cosine squared x over sine squared x, and I'm dividing it in a sense by cosine squared, which would be the same thing as multiplying it by the reciprocal, which would be what? 1 over cosine squared. That's how you divide fractions. Guess what's going to happen to the cosine squares? We're going to cancel out, giving me 1 over sine squared. And if I think about my reciprocal identity for sine squared, it would simply then be cosecant squared x. Most of these are going to be using the reciprocals, quotient or Pythagorean ones to simplify the problem.